Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast.
Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast.
Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast.
Gotta get it.
This is not Cha Music Review Podcast.
Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast.
Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast.
Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast.
Baby, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and my amazing members of the Cha-Cha Nation, it is me, Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force, and I'm back as if I never left with another episode of the Cha-Cha Let's Talk Music series on the Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast. And I have, a friend and a brother in the building. Yes, I mean, normally I'll allow, my guests to introduce themselves. But like I said, he's no more a guest, he's a brother. I mean, he's not just a brother, he's also a star. And he has been on the podcast maybe, I think, about twice, and he's making another return. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the guy that is always shaking the table everywhere he goes. Adura.
Okay, they say that the third time is the charm, so I guess I'm here to charm your audience away.
Definitely.
Y'all gotta check out my podcast.
Definitely.
But anyways, hi, my name is Abiola Aduragbemi, and I'm glad to be here once again talking about music and whatnot, as I consider myself a music enthusiast, and we have an amazing content lined up for you today.
Before we go into the whole podcast that the conversation we'll be having, because I mean the conversation we'll be having is a very interesting conversation. One thing I like about the conversation me and you we're always having is it kicks off from just a random conversation.
I mean, spirals into something that you get lose control at the end of the day.
You get, but then again, let's talk about because I know you are currently serving Nigeria, and or is Nigeria that is serving.
Let's not do that, please, because most of us, to serve my nation is not by force. but yeah. I recently just started serving, and it's a bittersweet relationship because certain things happen, certain things doesn't happen. That's 3 case entering, so there's that too. So like I said, it's a bittersweet experience. Nonetheless, I'm optimistic because, like I said, I'm just starting. I'm optimistic to seeing how it all unfolds in the not so distant future.
All right, let's talk about a experience that is no bittersweet, that is just going to be sweet, and that is the conversation we'll be having. So a couple of weeks ago, you put out a post on your WhatsApp status concerning some great music in Nigeria, and you mentioned Street Credibility and some other song, and we had this back and forth argument that I feel like this song is more better than this song and that song, and I felt what, in the midst of those conversations, it just came to my head like, okay, what if, now you can say Nigerian music industry has grown and it's very, very big. I mean, you have Nigerians getting nominated for Grammy, and even Nigerians, winning Grammys. And this is not going to be the first time that, Nigerian artists will be nominated for Grammys. I mean, the likes of Sunny Ade has been nominated in the past. The likes of Femi Kuti has also been nominated in the past, But to see an actual Nigerian to actually win it, it's something that is great. So it got me thinking, and I said, okay, you know what? Let us talk about this. Which songs, in the past, do you feel will have probably won a Grammy if, it was released in this current musical, space that we have right now? And I know, yes, the only category that is, that a Nigerian or an African can win for now is the world music category, right? Okay. So, and that was what Burna Boy won. So if you are going to look at that category, because that's the only category that is left, it means that what we are actually going to be looking at now is not just singles, it's going to be albums. But then again, it's the single, that will make the album to get, nominated. Most times what they do is they submit a single off the album and they, submit the album together. So let me start from you, right? What single or what album do you think would have, I don't want to use the word easily, because for you to get nominated for the Grammy, there has to be like a process. So the process is that the members of the Recording Academy, which is what they call the Grammy members, they either submit a nomination like, okay, so I feel like this song should be nominated, that song should be nominated, or record labels also submit and say, oh, this our artist, this album is BAM, let us submit this for consideration. That's the word they use. So they submit, the single or the album for consideration. Then the Recording Academy, they take a vote and say, okay, we've considered this song should get nominated. Then when it get nominated, then the voting process to win, the Grammy will now begin. So for you, which songs, give or take, last 10, 15, 20 years, do you think would have been nominated? Let's start from nomination itself. Would have been nominated for the Grammy before we go to whether they will win the Grammy or not.
All right. I think I need to put it out there that it's all of these things I'm going to be saying or we're going to be saying is going to be a personal bias.
Definitely.
Right?
I mean, it's not as if it is facts in any places. Yeah.
So, first things off of the list is street credibility, like you said earlier. One of the reasons is that again, I grew up listening to Nice. I think that if you had to give me, okay, say Adura build a playlist for Nice, some of Nice's songs, I would put street credibility, I'll put the tradition, I'll put science songs. And at the time, Nice told us that I was going to get the Grammy, and I'm not even going to go back to that conversation yet, because I'm not trying to clown anybody, but I'm just saying that you listen to street credibility, and it gives you, like, there's content in the song, there is the element of this African nature, there is this connection to our roots, because obviously Africa is known to connection to their roots, whether it's our fashion, whether it's, we all know where we are like originated from, and this song tells you a story of how you are starting from the ground to the top and you are still aiming for higher. And I feel like, yeah man, street credibility is going to be one very important song that on a personal level I've loved it since, I don't know, when the song came out when I was in primary school or something, and I still love it. It's been almost over a decade now, and I still enjoy it. That is on my personal side of things. Another song that I know that okay, by all means should win Grammys. It's not that even be nominated. Should win is African Queen. Why? Because I think that and this is again all my personal opinion. I think that one of the reasons why Burna Boy was able to win the Grammy is he broke out from being a Nigerian artist to being an African artist, and he started to embody Africa. That's when he brought Naughty by Nature, people that have been nominated for the Grammys before. I've done this, what's it called? I've done this breakdown on one of my episodes that I did, how Burna Boy won the Grammy. You can check it out at one point. Yeah man, he sang in the genre of Angelique Kidjo. The album before what's it called? Twice as Tall. That was African Giant. He used one song to target the Grammy, which was the song that I did with Damian Marley and Angelique Kidjo. That was a different story or something. I believe so. And he saw that he did not win. He was devastated. And instead of using one song, he used the entire project and he targeted it. And obviously, we know that the influence of Diddy did that as well.
Definitely.
But at the same time, look at how Burna Boy, he was versatile with his music. He had his content game. He brought on a lot of other artists. He brought a couple of other people that I know that they have this national or this more international influence. And obviously, Mans was still telling us that he was still Nigerian because he was still putting on. He brought on Bebo, the one that was like a street jam. Mm-hmm. He brought Bank on. Like, everything was so orchestrated. So the reason why I feel like African Queen would win, not just be nominated, is it is embodying Africa. The song is not just for a Nigerian, like. You would see that, and if you notice, American movies these days are putting Nigerian songs. I mean, we had Netflix the other day they had a Fela song on one of the major scenes, and the song just brought life to the entire scene, right? So I feel like Nigerians are doing so much on a global scale now, and as much as we were not on the map before, these boys, Wiz, David, Burna, and some other past people have put Nigeria on the map in a way that they're now seeing us as a force to be reckoned with. I mean, look at CK. Mans, I feel like I don't need to go into this conversation because, I mean, CK, right?
Yeah.
But those two songs, I feel like Street Credibility and African Queen would most likely be gunning for the Grammys.
Okay, so let me, start from African Queen, yeah? I mean, like you rightly said, African Queen is not a matter of whether it will get nominated. It's not even a matter of whether it will win. It's a matter of it would win. Because the impact of African Queen came at a time where, you could say the breakout of Two-Face as a solo artist into the Nigerian music industry was more like a change. It's change. If you are looking at the history of Nigerian music and you are trying to look at those that at a particular point in time, what they did change the entire or change more than half of the entire industry, Two-Face is one artist you definitely mention. And, African Queen is that song because African Queen opened a lot of doors for other African artists and a lot of doors for Two-Face. I mean, if you look at Two-Face cabinet right about now, I think the only award that African Queen did not win was Grammy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the African Queen won almost every single. It was the first person in Nigeria, or I think in Nigeria, I'm certain. I can't say outside Africa, but in Nigeria, I'm certain, was the first person that won the MTV Europe Music Award. Not even the Mamas now that they started organizing from Africa. The MTV was the first person that won it. Then after him, the band went on to pick up the next one. So, like you rightly said, and again, look at the content of the song. The content of the song is just so, beautiful. Appreciating the African beauty, which is closer to what what's his name? Beyonce, Do It and Brown Skin Girl. They had that similar element, but this is coming from an African artist. This is coming from a Nigerian artist, and it painted the picture very well. So of course, there's no doubt. I mean, for me, if there's any song that wants to do anything as much as Nigeria is concerned, African Queen was like the fastest, reference point that you can also point to. Yeah. So yeah, and that will now mean that the album itself, which is titled Face to Face, will also, be nominated, for the World Album category.
I want to say that Face to Face might not win the Grammy, the entire body of our work, because Two-Face was telling us his ground story as a Nigerian, and there will not be so much resonance on a global scale.
The thing is, okay, so that category, right? You have to have, for that your album to be nominated, it has to contain at least 75% of European and Western influences.
But there was no influence at all in the project.
That's what I'm saying. It does not contain European and Western, elements
so
in the album.
What about 35%?
No, they said 75. That's what they said. They said 75. And again, let's be realistic. There are some albums, you can definitely tell, like, okay, this song on this album is the Grammy song. The song had so much magnitude that it just amplified whatever is on the album.
That song that I know would do so well on the Grammy nomination, it wasn't too long ago, but I guess Nigeria wasn't on the map, like using the statement that I used before, and it is the Brimo's Ara. Now,
Arambe.
Now, I don't want to go into the act, which is Brimo, because this podcast cannot contain it.
It won't.
If we start to mention the genius of
let's just leave that
Brimo,
and let's stick to Ara.
But looking at Ara, this song, like, it's still a club banger. It has the content in it. It has, like, there's no way, like, it has this uplifting spirit. Now, that's just the song in itself. Do you know that video? That video too was just the simple work of art, and in itself it was crazy. I feel like if Chuck City at the time was going to look past its internal dispute that everybody was doing at that time, I feel like the project, Brimo's project, that's the Son of a Carpenter, would have been we had Good Morning, we had Brimo's breakout act was, till this very moment, Brimo is still doing stuff, but I like how his audience has become sort of niched, unlike the way he was trying to sing to everybody. Yeah. And man, I feel like that project too would bang, man, on Grammy level.
For those that really appreciate. Now, I don't want to say for those that understand, because it's look as if maybe I'm throwing short at people, but let me use the word for those that appreciate what good music and classic music is. There is no way you listen to Son of Carpenter by Brimo and you say it's not a classic album. I'm talking about Brimo. Measuring Ara also made me remember a song that I feel, the global impact of that song for the artist in particular was so huge. I'm talking about Oleku by Ice Prince and Brimo. And now that's another song. And that song was also contained in the album Everybody Love Ice Prince, that is L. And that's another song that is also, like, a very, very phenomenal song that, took over everywhere. But Adura, I feel like our conversation is going to be so incomplete if we don't, mention an artist that, in terms of impact and in terms of, influence, they dominated the whole of Africa for a very, very long time before they kind of fell back, and splitted up. I'm talking about P-Square.
I was going to mention it right after. Thank God you just brought out the words out of my mouth, because at one point P-Square was doing. They were doing international numbers. That was when they brought on Rick Ross, they brought on Akon, and I feel like if they had continued this show or the role, if they had continued the streak, Grammy would have been so close, in my opinion.
Close. Yeah.
in my opinion, because the song We Recross in itself was beautiful. They had Akon, although we knew that Akon was national market at the time. Everybody was featuring Akon.
Everybody was featuring Akon.
I know, but it wasn't just about the features. The songs were amazing. They had the music video on a year. It was, man, I mean, I don't know, bro, but I just feel like P Square would have done, especially I think Ifunanya would have done something. They had a beautiful musical lineup, but yeah, they were back, and I don't know if you saw the tweet that they said that they were going to shut down O2 right after David did.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of wonders that they want to perform. So yeah, let's just watch this space.
But let us digress a little. I'll talk about what you just said right now. Do you feel like at this point, do you feel like they still have that without any new single as P Square, right? Do you think they still have that crowd or that momentum or that power, that star power to say, okay, you know what, the whole P Square is going to do a show based on our whole classic in the O2 Arena, and we are going to sell out? Now, the reason I'm saying so is because we know how music evolved, right?
Yeah.
So those of us that probably, like majority of that probably grew up to listening to P Square, and not probably the people that are doing the streamings right about now. Because streaming is more like for is it millennials or Gen Z or what they used to call it? You understand? So do you feel this is just try and keep it between a yes, no, or maybe answer? Do you feel like P Square can actually sell out the O2 without any new music? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, maybe. So, all right. So let's go back. Obviously, like you rightly said, there is no way you look at the P Square catalogs, from Señorita, Mamacita, to Get Squared, to With Your Busy Body, to Do Me. There's no way you look at P Square catalog and you say, at one point in time, these people would have won a Grammy.
I think what makes a successful show, a successful O2, and using Wizkid as our case study. Man sold out O2 3 times in a row in less than 30 minutes or less than an hour. Doing there was a time that I think the first time was like 8 minutes, second time was like 2 minutes. But I don't want to go into that math right now. What I do want to go into is the fact that he was able to do that 3 days in a row. And what makes a good show is if you have a wide range of catalog. Like,
definitely.
We could sing Wizkid's song from All At Your Boy to Essence. And the whole night will not still be enough to sing all of that songs.
Definitely.
Now bringing it back to
P Square,
they have it. They have all of those songs. Oh, and I'm thinking as a social media strategist, because it's what I do. What they could do is channel certain adverts, try to rejuvenate people's nostalgic interest, and say, yo, do you remember this and all of that? And they get into people's ears. They bring out a single and it's not bad, and they try to push for it. And this is just all in my head. This is all hypothetical. It might work, it might not work. That's why I said it may be. So yeah, man, it's possible. And another song that I know that if it was
released in this century
at the time, would have banged. Would have been Wizkid, of course. The one with Femi Kuti, Jai Jai. Jai and Uju Elegba. Now, I get it that okay, Wiz actually has won a Grammy, But I don't know if you know the impact of Uju Elegba.
Yeah.
And that Jai Jai song, Uju Elegba did numbers. Still today, the musical video of Uju Elegba has a connection to almost every Nigerian.
That was his first song with Drake. Yeah, they did the remix with Drake and this UK rapper. I've forgotten his name right about now. Skepta. Yes.
Uju Elegba and Omo Jai Jai, Jai Jai would do so much. Would probably the album Ayo, because we had Mommy. Is it Mommy? Joy, yeah. Joy was on the project. Like it was an amazing project, and I feel like if we are to start to submit older songs to Grammy, that song should undoubtedly be part of the winners.
All right, that song should undoubtedly be part of the winners. Like you rightly said, there's no doubt Wizkid don't win Grammy again. So some of you might be looking at what are we looking for, but these are just conversation about old songs.
And I don't know, this particular song that I feel like should be on the Grammy, but I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. It was the song that Nice did with Rugged Man. This song,
Ruggedy Baba.
Yeah, Ogomulero Baba.
How many
song, man.
Do you know why I don't want to go into that? Because if we go into that, then it means we have to start. We can easily go into that, because the reason why I say we can easily go to that, I mean, we've spoken about Ice Prince, and definitely we know that Ice Prince is more like a rapper. And if you look at all the songs that, majority of the songs that has been nominated for Grammys, especially coming from Nigeria, there's been no rap projects, on that place. But let's just leave that. And yes, we've mentioned Ice Prince, Oleku. Rogedi Baba's song is also a song. I mean, that song was like, man. Nice came through on that song. Rugged Man came through that song.
That touch of Ibile. That touch of
African
origination.
Originality.
Man. It was too.
Yeah.
Speaking of originality, Phases originality could have been a bang. Phases originality, because
Kaki no be leather.
Yeah, he did this. I don't know if you know this song, Popo di
with Kabasa. Kabasa produced that song.
That song. He did Brother Love.
Yeah.
Love.
Letter to My Brother.
Yeah. So I feel like that project could have done something.
Man. But
because wait, listen, there's a part in that Popo that Phase took a particular, I don't know what they call it, musical riff, and they went on for like a minute. It kept going up and up. This is to show you that these guys had musical inclination. They were not just singing for the vibes or for the lamba. We're not just hearing Nif Keys. No offense, I'm just saying that we're not. I shouldn't have said that, but we're not just hearing like a producer's bang or a producer's tag, or because when we hear a particular like producer, we already know that this song is going to be a banger, right?
Yeah.
So we're not hearing any producer's tag. We're just hearing the vocal song, vocality of the song. We're just hearing the content, and this was what was something.
Now, and the funny thing about that song, you mentioning the producer tag or anything, is the fact that if you didn't listen to the album that song was actually in, the album is titled Independent. Now, if you didn't listen to that song, you might not understand that. You will not even know, not that you might not understand that Kabasa actually produced. I'm talking about ID Kabasa, the great, Oga, produced that song. And because there was a skit before that song that said that where he was singing the song, and it was
freestyle. It was a freestyle. It was like
Kabasa go fit down. Yeah, Kabasa, and the song came in and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Now let's try and wrap up this conversation, because I feel like if we keep going, we can probably mention the whole of Nigerian song without one artist that I feel we did not mention, and till date is still referred as, even Wizkid referred to him as Oganla, and I'm talking about the boy that went from Mushin to Mo Eat, then decided to. We are talking about King Cole.
I really don't want to talk about Waneko right now, because till this very moment, he's still regarded to one of the musical legends.
Definitely.
Voice, right?
Definitely.
Did you see the magic he did on Olamide's Hate Me? That song was hard.
Bruh.
It took genius to pull off a Michael Jackson on a straight song, and still flow, So I don't want to even go into how one day is so much deserving of this, but man, imagine times were different. Imagine we were all woke to the internet at a decade ago, like we are right now.
Seriously,
it would be a whole different I mean, yeah, man. Also speaking of the Moed, the band is not too far behind.
I mean, obviously, it was the spearhead.
Endowed track.
It was the
would win the Grammy, because I mean the video was bam. For a video at a time, the endowed track would do something. Burna Boy's this particular song that he did, it the band.
One Damo. You are One Damo. For me,
the band top of the world should win the freaking Grammy.
For me, you see that song with Burna Boy, that's One Damo. Till date, that song remains one of my personal favorite collaboration. We are talking about a D'banj collaboration. Like D'banj. I know that was the period where he was no more with Don Jazzy, and it seems like his music career was struggling.
My favorite line of the band on that particular line was when it was making a tune that was going toward that Bengali, like was making evidently something. So in my head I'm like, where is the Bengali? We're going to hear the Bengali. Then the Bengali just came out, like, yeah, that's it.
Bengali.
Like, man, that was I mean, it's been, I remember going to secondary school when we're not allowed to go with our phones with the express music, and I was listening to this particular track somewhere in Agege, because I grew up in Agege. And yeah, don't let all of this sweet voice fool you. Right? So when and I'm going to school and I'm listening to this song, I remember the turning. Like, that's the beauty about music. You might not remember some things going on in your life, but one particular song takes you back to one point in your life, and you everything, the whole gush of memory comes back. I'm like, refreshing. It's nostalgic,
Definitely.
my G. So yeah,
That's the word I'm looking for, the nostalgia feeling, because for every of the song we've mentioned, you could tell from our voice that it was not a song we just mentioned and said, you could hear the excitement even talking about this song.
Yeah,
so
man.
you know that this song had the power.
And while I mentioned it briefly that the Banshee Top of the World should win the Grammy, it should be reiterated that the Banshee Top of the World will win the freaking Grammy, because, like, again, the band had broke out from being just a Nigerian artist. The song in itself was top of the world. It was used for
the African Cup of Nations.
Yes,
definitely.
It was used for an international setting. Now imagine that this was submitted for the freaking Grammy, man. And I'm saying freaking because I don't want to cost money. Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's been, like I always say, whenever Adura is on the podcast, I mean, he's a star. And he has to show that he's a star. Our conversation, we can keep talking about music from now till tomorrow, and we will not even, end it. But we are going to, draw the curtain here, because, like I said, we can keep going on and on and on, and will not come to an end. So we are going to do this here. If you are listening to this episode right about now, from whatever platform you are listening to it, you can just drop a comment and mention those, Nigerian song, or even those African song, because we always spoken about Nigerian song. We didn't talk about the original Azonto song that came all the way from Ghana. But yeah, I mean, there are so many other African artists, that we could have mentioned that would have easily won the Grammy too. So yes, for wherever you are right now, from, South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Angola, Ghana, any African country that you are and you're listening to me right about now, you can also drop a comment and tell us those songs that you think were released 10, 15, 20 years ago, that if they were released today, they could have gotten a Grammy nomination at least, or if not, win the Grammy. So yes, Adura, this is where we'll be ending the podcast. Any final word, for the gang and the nation?
All right. If you've noticed, Hafiz has been calling me Star, and I feel like there should be a backstory for that.
Definitely.
So Star is spelled STAAR, and basically the origination of the story is, my name is Abiola Aduragbemi, so my initials are my nickname, which is AA, right? So I have the podcast called Shaking Tables with AA. So if you try to like put an acronym to it, that is STAA. Right, that is STAA, but the R comes in as people that are listening, like to claim ownership, just like say, like you are driving, and who is driving is called the driver. So you, as you're listening to the podcast, you are the star with the R. So yeah, man, you can check out my podcast, and not just check out my podcast. We're going to have a sequel to this particular conversation on my podcast. I mean, we have the almighty Hafiz. I mean, okay, yeah, we are recording this podcast, but you have to drop something for the boys now. So obviously, when you go through this podcast, when you're done with this, and you feel like you like the sound of my voice, or you feel like we're going to be talking about amazing other stuff, you can check out my podcast at Shaking Tables with AA across all platforms. You can check out my Instagram, my YouTube, my social media, my TikTok, everywhere. It's Aduragbemi _AA, ADURAGBEMI _AA, and my YouTube is at Aduragbemi, Abiola Aduragbemi. Simple as that. I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with you. Really looking forward to getting your reviews. And yeah, man, we're gonna put the curtains on this. Catch us on Shaking Tables with AA podcast. Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and my amazing members of the Cha-Cha Nation, thank you very much for listening to today's episode. With that, I have come to the end of another episode of the Cha-Cha Let's Talk Music series on the Cha-Cha Music Review podcast with yours truly, Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force. Remember, keep the energy, keep it 100, and keep it positive. Peace out.
Cha-cha time, two time for the cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Rockin' with the best, the cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Alaye with cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Wati my boy, the cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Cha-cha gang.
What's in my God?